Discover how the $15 an hour minimum wage raise will make the rich richer and the poor will just stay the same.
Hey guys, I'm here to talk to you about the $15 an hour minimum wage and how the $15 an hour minimum wage is a simple, too simplistic of a solution to a complicated problem. You will never be able to satisfy the minimum wage problem by raising minimum wage. I'm not saying that you can do it, but it never solves the problem it's intended. I think everybody should have a wage that they can live on. The problem is just giving somebody a minimum wage doesn't, raising the minimum wage doesn't do anything but just get absorbed by inflation. The I was listening to a person. He made a comment about how minimum wage can't work, and I tend to agree with that. I don't see why it isn't wrong, and I'm going to add in my 2 cents a little bit later. Walmart, Amazon. These guys love the idea of raising minimum wage. Corporations. Walmart's, that's a Texas thing. Walmart is a tornado that comes through and destroys every little small town that it runs into. It's a tornado. What it does is they come out at the edge of town, they build a Walmart. Everybody starts shopping at Walmart. They're excited to go to Walmart, and then guess what? It runs the downtown out of business. The guy selling the bicycle shop ends up going to Walmart to work selling bicycles. So his wage gets cut. He doesn't have his own business anymore. What it does is it destroys. I don't know. I think they've called it the Walmart effect. I remember 20 years ago wondering what is going to take over from Walmart. I mean, they were the juggernaut in the industry. And it looks like Amazon did. And I recall in Amazon, and eBay in the late 90s is, had anybody ever bought anything from online? And it was, heck no, I'm never going to do it. I like to go out. I like to touch and feel and see the things. To get somebody to buy something online was an impossibility. But things change, people change, kids who grew up with computers change. And it looks like Amazon has come and just given Walmart a run for its money. And it obviously has, because it's created Jeff Bezos to be the highest paid person in the richest man in probably the world. When prior to that, it was Warren Buffett. And Microsoft's, I can't think of his name right now, Microsoft. This is the Oracle Overhaul, and we got Jeff Bezos, or Bezos, or whatever his name is. He's worth over $200 billion now. Warren Buffett's worth like 68 billion. He was the richest man for the longest time, long, ever since I can remember. And then, of course, Microsoft. Dang it, I can't remember. Shoot, who started Microsoft? You're gonna laugh. That's funny as anything. Microsoft, isn't that crazy? Bill Gates, Paul Allen. Bill Gates He was worth 70 billion or whatever he is now. For the longest time, it was between these two guys. And all of a sudden, out comes Jeff Bezos after Corona and just blows them out of the water. 200 billion. That's more than twice as much. If you have any idea what $200 billion is, and I'm going to have another video on that, because a million, everybody wants to have $1 million, which is chump change now, be a millionaire. 200 billion is unbelievably, it's exponentially higher. The reason Walmart and Amazon, a $15 an hour minimum wage benefits them is because these guys, Walmart and Amazon, want to run the small guy out of business. And if they run the small guy out of business, then they absorb all the customer base. The small guy can't afford a $15 an hour minimum wage. Amazon and Walmart, they can. They just adjust their bottom line and raise their prices by the few percentage. And then all of a sudden they've absorbed it. They've got all the customers. And when they have all the customers, they're the monopoly. If Amazon and Walmart goes out and tries to destroy small business, they're going to be in the bad books with the government. But the government is legislating $15 an hour. So guess what? They're getting the government to legislate and run them out of business. And they can say, well, it's not our fault. You're the guys that did it. And we support, But what happens to that $15 an hour? It does not stay in the hands of the person making minimum wage. It does for a few months. And that person's lifestyle will go up for a few months. I own apartments. So for a person, I own apartments. So let's just say that the average Class C, which is your regular blue collar apartment, I'm not here to teach you all about apartments right now. And if you want to learn about apartments, you're going to have to pay to play. There's organizations out there that can teach you. Class C is basically your blue collar. So if you want to have a Class C, Joe Blow, plumber, electrician, those guys make good money too, all the way to college students, they're going to live in Class C apartments. Class D, you worry about getting shot. Class C is where basically the average fundamentally good housing is. Then Class B is nice pools and stuff, and then Class A is, the stuff that people pay super high premium for. By and far, most of the apartments are Class C. If you're making $7.50 an hour, right, which is minimum wage, and of course you can't live on $7.50 an hour, so that's going to be times 2, which is going to be you and your significant other. That's going to be $14 an hour. What's $14 an hour? $14 an hour is $28,000 per year, which is now below the poverty level. $28,000 a year divided by 12 months equals $2,800 per month. Right? If you want to, so here is your monthly income at having it coming in. If you want to live in an apartment, you're going to have to have 3 times your monthly, or 1/3 of your monthly income is going to determine the amount of the apartment that you can afford. Divided by 3 gives you the amount that you can afford. Approximately $3,000 divided by 3 is $1,000 per month. $950 with that 28. That's just per month. I do not know of an apartment in the Dallas-Fort Worth area right now that you can get for $950 a month. That isn't terrible. I'm just surprised now, just going over that, trying to make it work. And I would be like, I don't know how anybody can live on that. The thing is that a minimum wage was never meant to be a lifestyle, a minimum wage was never meant to be a living wage. It was meant to be a wage that kids have when they go work at McDonald's or something, so they can make some money. Or maybe, the husband was a highly educated doctor or something, and the spouse wanted to go out and get a little side job with her friends, working at the store downtown somewhere, and it was more fun, and make a little money on the side. A minimum wage was never meant to be an income for living on. The problem that I think comes out of this is that if you can pay somebody $750 an hour and you don't have to give them a raise, then there's another person that'll take $750, another person that takes $750. So the problem is you can't ever get a raise from $750 an hour flipping hamburgers or doing something. And so there's the rub, that you have to raise minimum wage to something that people can live on, because people at these stores are not going to give you that kind of money. So hence, $2,000 is $950 a month. So let's go ahead and, starting tomorrow, suddenly we've raised it to $15 an hour times 2, because the 2 incomes all of a sudden are making $15 an hour, which is $30,000 equals $60,000 per year, because it was government mandated. Do you know how much joy is going to be in this? Joy is going to be in the working minimum wage class people. They just hit the jackpot. Or so they think. So the first problem is, now that you've changed to $15 an hour, they'll probably end up laying people off, automating things, and getting rid of jobs. That's the first thing. So let's just say that we lose 50% of the jobs. So these people all of a sudden go down to 30K, right? At $15 an hour. They're still making more than if both of them were working. So the second person is going to go out, but they're eventually, maybe they'll find that second 60,000 K. So now what happens? Instead of $60,000 a year, 60,000 a year divided by 12 months. Oops. $60 divided by 12 months is now $5,000 per month. That's the jackpot. They're going to go out and buy a new car. They're going to go buy all sorts of new stuff because that inflationary move hasn't moved into the auto industry yet, hasn't moved into the apartment industry yet, which are the two major purchases that people make, hasn't moved into the housing industry yet, right? So we got 5K divided by 3. What is that? $1,200? $1,250? Made a mistake. Divided by 3. $1,600 a month. $1,666 per month, or approximately, just say $1,700. I'm going to show you why it will make the rich richer and the poor will stay poor. Because people who make minimum wage are poor. And this is why people who are wealthy would support a minimum wage hike. So we all of a sudden, this person can now afford a $1,700 a month apartment rather than before a $950 a month apartment, right? Guess what they're going to do? When this lease is up, they're moving. So the guy who's lucky is the guy that moves tomorrow because his lease is up or he's month to month, or they might move 6 months, or they may have just signed a lease and now they're moving. So guess what? Instead of being a $950 a month apartment, now they're going to move to think. This is class A stuff. High class B. You're going to move up to a nicer apartment with the swimming pool and everything, right? Because the prices haven't gone up yet. So what ends up happening is they move in there. But guess what? Now that everybody has a minimum, the apartment that they were in at $950 is going to, in the next 3, 6, 9 months, slowly go up to being $1,700 a month. Because that's what it qualifies for. And so all of a sudden, that person who was making $15 an hour has a nicer car that lasted for a while. They'll eventually be back down into the same apartment that they were. Okay? So I have a 100-unit apartment. Right? It was at $950 a month average for an apartment. Now it goes to $1,700. I paid, say, $100,000 a unit for this. So 100 units times 100,000 is what? $10 million. Right? I had to come up with 20%. So I had to borrow $8 million to buy this apartment. We're going to talk about cap rates and all that, but let's say, for instance, that my profit when I bought this was $100,000 a year. I don't know, I'm just picking a number. Doesn't really matter. So I was making $100,000 a year. I've already purchased the apartment, right? The apartment has already been purchased. All of a sudden, this is going to go up to $1,700. I've got an extra $800 a month per unit. This is very simplistic. I'm because there's taxes and insurance that you have to do this. So let's just go ahead and knock it down. That with taxes and insurance, now all of a sudden, and with the $15, I'm making an extra $500 per month per unit. Because after 6 months, the price is bumped up. 500 times 100 units times 100 units equals $50,000 per month times 12, right? 50,000 times 12 is what? 500, that's 10, 550, was it 550,000? Let's just pick it up, 550,000. Let's just say 500,000 per month, per year more, times the valuing process of, let's say it's a 0.6 cap rate, times or divided by 0.06. This is the rich getting richer in less than a year with the minimum wage who own property. And if you own a house, the price of your house is going to go up too. It's just you only own one house. So if I can get my property go up $500,000 per year divided by 0.06, I just created $8 million worth of profit. I went from having, I created $8.3 million of equity. I created $8.3 million worth of equity, of value in that property. And when I sell it, I'm going to make $8.3 million. You, a person, I'm not picking on you, I'm just saying a person who makes minimum wage is going to stay in the same apartment because the price of the apartment is going to go up. And the person who owns the apartment, and just say they own 100 houses or 100 of the, 5 apartments, thousands of units, they created 8.3. These people are going to become multi-millionaires in a matter of a year because the value went up of the property. But the lifestyle didn't, of the person who lives in the apartment. It's just, of course, all the properties and stuff will become more expensive. Cars will become more expensive. If you're getting $15 an hour a job and you're making $7.50 an hour before, that car won't be a $30,000 car. It'll now be a $60,000 car. If you have a house that was worth $300,000 with an income going up, now that person can afford a minimum wage. Let's see, $305,000. Which is $60,000, $180,000 house. Well, you think that the guy working at the corner or working as an engineer, if a person at minimum wage makes $60,000, what do you think their price? They're going to go up. If they were making $80,000, their wage is going to go up. So all the wages will ratchet up. That's why the minimum wage, where I don't have a problem making a living wage, is this, it doesn't solve, it's a simple whispering in the ear for people that if I can make $15 an hour, you're going to have it made, but you're not. Now you know why the wealthy would support something like that, because it benefits them, and it benefits the minimum wage person very temporarily, few months, but it benefits the wealthy for a long time. So there's my take on minimum wage. Have a great day.